I'm Olivier Bernheim. I'm a French and Swiss citizen, born in Strasbourg in the northeast of France, living in Geneva since 1982, and I'm working for the company Raymond Weil, created by my father-in-law in the beginning of 1976. My father-in-law found out that there was a niche, there was a need for affordably priced watch with the highest level of watch engineering, watch design, and certainly the best service. That's how the company grew up quite quickly around the world at a time where competition was far different today. And consumers were buying a very nice design. And somehow they were looking at the brand. Today an end consumer buys himself a Raymond Weil and looks at the design somehow afterwards. Branding has become quite key. So the brand evolved quite quickly, and we are one of the last family-owned watch company in the world, and I'm very proud about it. I've been representing the second generation for many, many years, and I've asked my eldest son, Eli, to be the CEO of the company since April 2014. And as such, he's my boss. I'm the president of the company. But I'm knowledgeable about India for so many years, and I've been visiting India since 1978 for business reasons, since 1984, and I really have kept that market as one of my territory. Now we work very well together, and I do travel around the world. And yeah, Raymond Weil today is a company that does sell about 150,000 watches around the world. Affordable price means 50,000 rupee to 2.5 lakhs, with an average around 1.4 lakhs in India, which is a very, very interesting price, certainly for that new growing crowd, 30 to 45 years old, that works in Gurgaon, works in Bangalore, works in the industry, works in the digital business, everything for what India is famous. One of the interesting things about Raymond Weil is that we have always, my father-in-law was very keen to make a real watch brand, means ladies and gents watches. And even today, the ladies part, the lady sales does represent 35% of our turnover. Okay. My wife is a professional pianist, so I would very naturally, when I questioned myself in '84, what am I going to do for sponsoring, for donation, how am I going to do my advertising, I thought about music. Music being the family environment, and that's how we became the reference in the watch industry about music. Arts, culture, certainly, but music. And a lot of our watches have been named under operatic names. Yeah. And even today, we keep those names amongst what is the company. The DNA of the company is about music. So today, my son is somehow rejuvenating, using Beatles, AC/DC, David Bowie, more knowledgeable names for that crowd we look after. But nevertheless, music is the DNA of the company. And it matched very well, because I always say the different watches that we're creating for Raymond Weil and that he creates today represent the notes on our partition. Yeah. So it's an interesting, and this is how Raymond Weil became one of the major watch brands in the world.
What about Raymond Weil entering the Indian market? How did that happen? And being the first Swiss brand to experiment with the Indian market, what instigated you to take that first step?
I have to thank my father-in-law. He was avant-gardist. He was ahead of everyone. He already was knowledgeable about India and came in 1978 with his watches. At that time, you couldn't import watches. You had to assemble them over here. Yes. It had to be CKD. So since then, he created links with the retailers, and those that are today the important retailers have started their career, their wealth with Raymond Weil. The market has nevertheless, in the meantime, tremendously evolved with all the hiccups, difficulties, difficulties that you can only face in India, which years after years have been like coups, like stops, like shocks, not enabling that market to be the size of what it should be. The last huge stop in the market was the demonetization. I'm not talking about good or bad. I'm not doing any politics, but it's a 18 months stop in the development. But the good thing is for Raymond Weil, and probably because of the price point of Raymond Weil, that affordable price point, that the last 3 to 4 months now have been extremely good in terms of selling. And the answer to this is probably because we sell an accessible watch, and the end consumer need to be in good mood, need to be positive, need to enjoy life, need to be secure, and everything around him needs to be coherent. And I do feel, and I do hope that the election in May next year won't blow up the whole, that we have a certain time frame, and hopefully it's going to come for Diwali, year-end, Christmas, which is always the highest season. So I'm quite bullish for Raymond Weil in India those days.
You're pretty positive about the market bouncing back and being on track. How's the market turning now after about a year of lull? Now, what is the brand response like?
That's what I told you before. The response right now in India is good, and probably the market is very supportive or accept very well all our newnesses. For example, this one, which is the Freelancer Skeleton, 2.2 lakhs, or this one, which is the Maestro Moonface, 1.6 lakhs. Those are very affordable price for sophisticated, hand-developed movements and watches in Switzerland.
So, and if we talk about challenges for that matter, and that you rightly mentioned about some of them, which has actually harnessed the, if I may say, harnessed the growth rate of this particular segment. How do you see your brand now being established one and known? How did you sustain during that time, and what was the thought process behind that? Were you still looking India as a positive market, or there were some times where you were thinking that okay, India might be a tough situation from now onwards?
I'm a very positive person, and I've always been I've always been positive about India. And my son sometimes, when we have discussion, sort of criticize me and said, "Dad, are you once giving me realistic numbers for India?" I say, "Yes, I wish, I hope, and I do really hope things will stabilize and develop." And I'm very optimistic because of our price point, because of that 50,000 rupee up to 2.5 lakh, which is the target price that the population here looks like. And it just need for that market to be stable. The last probably element which once our governments will have to solve is the custom barrier, but that's a permanent political discussion for so many years.
And it has to do a lot just from being into the customs. There are lots of other factors which are creating lots of issues around it. So like you were saying that you are optimistic about it, and so do we are, and so do the brand's DNA. Talking about the new collection which you have, which I just read about, and it's again onto the music. Would you be somewhere down the line thinking about Indian music being inspiration for the Raymond Weil?
We are always open for that kind of possibility, but the world is one today. The world is global, and you guys sitting in Delhi, or someone sitting in New York, or someone sitting in Sydney, or someone sitting in Helsinki, the need, when looking after a brand, after Raymond Weil, they need to have an understandable and global acceptance or understanding of whom we are.
Harness of not experimenting goes away. Because you can, so if I'm wrong somewhere, so correct me somewhere, but I think that's the...
You are fully correct and totally share your views. I would add one thing.
Yeah.
I also know the DNA of the country because I'm coming for so long.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that bring the rational and the irrational together. Because the rational is what we could do in Geneva, developing watches within the spectrum of whom we are, the technology, and the irrational is all about that beautiful country where nothing works the way it works anywhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm. Agree. And so in the, again coming back to the challenges, because whole industry worldwide is facing some challenges in terms of other competitors. One of them, which is supposedly coming up, is the electronic watches and the smart watches. How do you think this situation can be handled in the future?
My opinion, or the opinion we have at Raymond Weil, or the opinion my son has at Raymond Weil is very clear. I mean, when you buy something like that skeleton watch, you buy a piece of art, a piece of technology, something which is unheard, something which is innovative, something that match your personality, match your body, match whom you are. It's collectors or it's utility product, but it's you. If I buy a digital, I'm introducing at least 3 of the newness right now during the trip. One is the skeleton watch, which is 2.2 lakh retail here. It's a unique development in the watch industry, because being able to produce a skeleton at that price point is something totally unique, totally new.
Yeah, I was just going to compliment it. This is really brilliantly affordable.
And that's what makes Raymond Weil so different to the other brand, because Raymond Weil has the courage to demonstrate today that you can offer a high-end, technically developed watches at an affordable price. The other one is the Maestro Moonface, which is available with 3 different dials. It's a lakh fix in India, and it's typically the watch for watch connoisseur. It's a 3-hand.
Oh, that's cheap.
101 lakh.
Which is a brilliant diverse watch for that price.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning it. We are very proud about the outcome of that watch and the price point of that watch. Yes.
Yeah, for that price.
So those are the watches, and we have our freelancer limited edition, AC/DC. I was mentioning about the relation with the music, which is going to be available limited edition for Diwali now. And it's available in every single Ethos store, and I would recommend anyone who loves Raymond Weil to buy himself a Raymond Weil ahead of Diwali or for the year end visiting one of the Ethos store.
Okay. And while we're talking about watches and everything, I want to also take your opinion on how the media, like we were talking about how the media and it has become very quick and all of this. What is Raymond Weil positioning with reference to media and marketing and social media, and what is your strategy broadly? It's
not my strategy at Raymond Weil. It's my son's strategy. It's my son-in-law and strategy. It's my second son's strategy. We are very, very keen about going full force with those medias. But we have to be careful, because some countries, and mostly in Europe, in old Europe I would say, are very, very reluctant. There are some countries, now Austria don't even talk about social media. Yeah. It's very strange,
yes.
But it's a generation situation. And I think India has a very young population. Or a very young population in India is in control now, and it's quite different to the other country. I mean, anything that had to be developed about soft was developed in Bangalore, so the country is in that sense ahead of the others. If I look at the hit, number 1 is United States, number 2 is the UK, number 3 is India.
Thank God
Yeah.
you are not seeing China. I was expecting China
But
to
what
be at
is
number 3.
when talking about
Yeah.
China, what is for the brand Raymond Weil, where does India stand on your
China is here and India is here.
okay.
Because because of
More
definitely
matured market.
no because of because of
Numbers.
numbers because of the